Hey, what's up, gamers? Enforcer 5150 here. I am being joined with Steamcat, and we are going to go over some of the patch notes of Season 2 of Call of Duty Warzone. We both have played it a little bit. We played a little bit of the Caldera Clash, and that's been fun so far, but we just want to go over some of the patch notes. We're not going to go through every single one of them because this list is huge, but we're going to go through some of the things that we I think are a little more important to us and what you might think is for the game. So let's go ahead and do it. Alright, so I was talking about like my favorite thing about these patch notes. I'm gonna skip ahead again to the new weapon, the KG M40, and it's assault rifle. And I've seen that you get it at tier 15, but like it's saying workhorse assault rifle, naturally steady and accurate. This can be good or bad. Like naturally steady and accurate, either they have to keep the damage down on it, or it's just gonna get nerfed right away.
I mean, there's always the new patch super weapon that always gets nerfed, but it is not so subtly there to encourage people buy the experience upgrades and play the
Yeah.
battle pass. I mean, I don't know how bad Activision Blizzard's track record is with this one, but wouldn't be the first game to do it.
Pretty bad.
But yeah, all depends on like what its time to kill is, and whether or not it's going to be like hip fire steady or is it going to be ADS steady.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
I'm thinking it's ADS just because it's an assault rifle, because almost all the good hip fires are submachine guns.
Yeah, which they didn't really put out any like new submachine guns. All the submachine guns that they have, they just kind of updated and adjusted. But like the submachine gun Charlie VG, maximum damage range decreased to 422 down from 473, and then the mid-range damage is decreased from 600, or why does it say decreased? Okay, this must be a mistype because it says mid-range damage decreased to 600 down from 612. So it went down 12 points. So they basically nerfed the submachine guns a little bit because they were a little overpowered, but I didn't think they were that overpowered. They get that much of a nerf. I mean, it's not a ton, but it's some.
I mean, all these tweaks do kind of make me wonder if they're doing something like just basically checking win rate correlation and players. And being like, yeah, players who use this weapon are winning like 55%, so let's retune that a little.
Yeah, not on actual damage. Yeah, I think you're right on that. They're just seeing that so many people are getting so many kills with the submachine guns, and then they're just okay. Well, we'll decrease the damage on that because that makes it not fair. I don't think it's a really good way to benchmark it, but
this is one of the few games where they have a player base large enough to do that sort of thing on a weapon range this wide.
That's true. That's true.
Speaking of which, the fact that this weapon roster is getting even deeper is just like completely turning me off from trying out stuff. It's like either I stick to my tried and true stuff, or it's going to be like look at the meta tier list and just do whatever meta is.
Yeah, and yeah, we talked about that before. It's like there's so much to choose from now that it's just basically just go with whatever you find is meta and just go with it, or whatever your favorite is. Like Raven, he has the TG44 that he always uses. That's which is the first weapon that you use, and like he hasn't moved from it at all.
I mean, something to be said for consistency, especially if you know how to compensate for the recoil patterns of that specific gun.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like having the variety. I like that being there, but
when does this variety stop being meaningful?
Exactly. Like, if we have 100 weapons of mediocre, different weapons. Okay, we have like, let's say 100 mediocre weapons, but then we only have 5 like actually decent weapons that are gonna. Everybody's just gonna use those 5, and those other weapons are just a waste of dev time that could be spent on something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, plus it punishes players for investing in those when those eventually get nerfed and people have to regrind all the attachments.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, it's basically trust devs to balance everything eventually and use your favorites or go with the meta. You kind of get punished either way.
Right. I do like the armor plating. The new armor plating. It says, this is the verbatim of it. It was, armor plates will now prioritize refilling one full plate of armor before filling partially damaged plate. I kind of agree with it, but don't agree with it. I like that you grab a plate, you grab an armor plate, you put it in, and it fills a full plate. But that I've seen what it does is it's filling up. Say you have a half a plate, or say you have like 1/2 plate. When you get a full plate, it's going to give you 1.5 plates instead of just filling up that one. But now that I think about it more, it kind of makes more sense because you have an armor plate, you take in, it's damaged, you're going to take that one out, put a new one in, and then you got a new plate. So I think they actually had it right first time.
I kind of disagree. Plus, it's just a better quality of life. I mean, this way it kind of acts more like a health bar, whereas it replaces the completely depleted health bar part as opposed to filling up the partial one first.
Yeah. Well, now the bars are kind of like pointless. You know what I mean? Because if you're just filling up, the half a bar and then a half a bar, if you have an 1/8 of a bar, then you're gonna have 1 1/8 of a bar. So it's not really a bar anymore. It's just how many.
It works more as a health pickup than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah, so
But,
I don't know.
But with the new 50 versus 50 Caldera mode, it kind of makes sense because it seems like that mode is pushing towards a more arcadey direction than simulation.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how long they're going to keep this mode in, because they have had different modes before like this, and they kind of dropped it after there wasn't enough traction
Player
on
interest.
It. Yeah, player interest. So I'm wondering if it's going to end up something like that, which I really hope it doesn't.
I mean, they've been pretty good about keeping the playable options to a manageable bunch.
Yeah.
Like I know that's a huge problem with like some smaller games, especially more flexible like arena shooters and deathmatch stuff, where they're like tempted to put in like 40 modes. Looking at you, Titanfall 2.
Yeah. Well, the thing
But-
that they did well on here is they did put out a lot of maps themselves. I mean, not modes, but they put out a ton of maps when Vanguard released. It was like 20 maps for the like regular Vanguard, and we were like, whoa, wait a minute. So that's quite a bit. And I didn't realize, well, both Raven and I didn't realize at first, is what they did with the Warzone is they took out the whole other map, and they just, the Vanderdesk, they chucked it and threw it in the trash and gave us the Pacific.
I mean, I think it's a practicality question. Like they would have to update and maintain 2 maps as opposed to 1.
Yeah, that makes sense too. The Gulag. I want to talk about Gulag. they had
There's a quality of life increase.
That is a total quality of life increase. Footsteps of the spectators are less audible. Further improvements will be made into the season. So, I like the whole point of being in the Gulag is that it's distracting. So, I get that you want all those footsteps in there because you're throwing rocks at whoever's down there to try to distract them, but to take down the footsteps a bit, I think that is good, because before it was way too much. You absolutely hear everybody up on top like they're right next to you, and it just makes them feel like they're more further away, more I wouldn't want to say realistic, because not very much of Call of Duty is like realistic.
In this patch, they've swerved pretty hard into the arcadey side of things.
Yeah. We were talking about that before, but I just hope, like I was saying, I hope they don't go too far into, what was that, Black Ops 3. There's 2 or 3. I can't remember which one was. Actually, 4 was a little bit there too, but I think it was 2 or 3 where I totally just could not play it because it was just so arcadey, like super arcadey, and I was like, oh, this is for like 14-year-olds. like most video games were when I grew up, was for 14-year-olds, but it just seemed way too much arcadey for me.
I kind of think that's the direction they're sort of embracing at this point, though, because like we got Tarkov and those other like Rainbow Six, all these milsim shooters that are far more simulation based versus COD, which has always been the big dumb loud yearly shooter.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of embracing their niche with this one.
Well, I think they are trying to jump on the idea that Battlefield 2042 is failing so hard. And I think that's why they brought in the team deathmatch, honestly. Because a lot of people are wanting that large-scale team deathmatch type thing, like in Battlefield. I see they did a bunch of adjustments to vehicles. So, like, they increased, they reduced the health on the fighter planes. They added stuff to the anti-aircraft gun, squad transport. So I'm feeling like they're trying to jump in on that chance, strike while the iron's hot type thing, while they're in the ruts.
The problem with it is when you're doing it last minute like this, it kind of feels half-assed because it doesn't replace like the vehicle emphasis that Battlefield used to have.
Oh yeah, I mean they did put in like the planes and stuff like that in this last season that seemed a little rushed itself, but I feel like they were trying to just compete with Battlefield, and that's one of the problems is both of these games, both Battlefield and Call of Duty, keep on trying to be like the other. They keep on trying to be, and they're not really understanding that their audiences want a certain type of game. Someone that buys Call of Duty, they want that Call of Duty experience. They want to have, the small maps and, and stuff like that, like in Vanguard. And then in Battlefield, people want large scale maps. They want destructible buildings. They want, fly a helicopter, fly an airplane, drive a tank, that type of thing. And they keep on trying to implement them in Call of Duty, where it's fun, especially in the single player and stuff like that, but they try to do it too much. It's like, well, why am I going to play this one and not that one? They got to keep themselves distinct.
Especially when Battlefield has way more experience doing it, and their maps are built around it as opposed to being sort of shoehorned in.
Yeah. And like the Warzone maps, they are very, even though that it's large scale, there's a lot that it is compact. Like there's a whole bunch of stuff in the way of everything. So there's not like really large, pockets where you're going to be always, use a tank to get halfway across the map to hit somebody. I have a tank battle. Go play World of War Tanks.
I don't need that kind of grind in my life.
Right? I don't think any of us do.
Speaking of quality of life, let's talk about that parachute quality of life. That is so good.
Yeah. So the parachutes that they have in here are now the same speed going forward as it was going sideways. And it can now be pulled at a lower vertical height, can now be pulled sooner after exiting the infill plane, and can now be cut when closer to the ground. Oh, that part I like the most, because every time I always try to get as close to the ground as I can, and I kind of miss it, and I'm boom, splat, right to the ground.
I just love the amount of control it gives a player. They're not as tightly bound to the bomber's, map direction.
Yeah.
Players are more spread out. They have more control of where they go and who they encounter. So, I mean, the guys who just want to get to content and who are all about them kills are just going to drop straight down immediately anyway. So those guys handled.
Yeah.
But anyone else who wants more tactical experience or wants to play it slow, they're going to love this.
Yeah, especially in Battle Royale, for sure, Or
one other huge quality of life, or, well, balance, Battle Royale. The Deadly Silent perk is now a legendary perk.
Yeah, that that's nice because I mean, Deadly Silent is something that I always use when I can, but using it as a legendary kind of makes it more balanced. I don't know.
I mean, when you're on Battle Royale and you're 1 kill away from being knocked out, having that Deadly Silence is a get out of jail free card. It allows you to get around difficult people or groups. It allows you to get into a fight, out of a fight. There's basically nothing it doesn't do just because people are so reliant on listening for footsteps.
Yeah. All right, so that is all we're gonna do for this video. Like I said, we just wanted to go through some of these things. We went way longer than I was expecting, but that's okay. There is a long list that they put in these patch notes. I mean, they messed with a lot of things. So we're gonna go ahead and play this some more. Like I said, we only played a little bit so far, kind of got a feel of it to see how everything was. But I want to thank everybody out there for watching the video today. Make sure you hit that like button and definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel. Y'all take care and happy gaming.